let's look at the question, largest number at least twice of others. We are given an integer array names where the largest integer is unique, and we should determine whether the largest element is in this array is at least twice as much as every other numbers in the array. If it is, we just return the index of the largest element, or otherwise we return -1. The first example output 1 because 6 is the largest integer, and for every other element in the array x, 6 is at least twice as bigger as x. So the index of the value 6 is 1, so we just return 1. In the second example, we output a -1 because 4 is less than twice the value of 3, so we return -1. The third example, we output 0 because 1 is trivially at least twice the value as any other numbers because there are no other numbers here. So we just return 0 because 0 is the index of the 1. Intuitively, the algorithm we use here is just we scan through the array to find the unique largest element n, and we keep in track of its index, max index. Then we scan through the array again. If we find something like x is not equal to m, with m is less than 2 times x, then we should return the -1. So otherwise, we just return the max index. We have a 4 element here as our example. First, we need to initialize the variable. We start from the max, it starts from the -1 for sure when it meets 0 to make sure it is the smallest. And we need to judge whether the element here is bigger than the max, which is -1. Yes, it is bigger than. So the second variable get the smaller number, which is the -1, and the max variable get the biggest value, which is the 3 here. So 3 here is the biggest. So we need to record it index. It is 0, and we keep move on. And the second element, it is bigger than the 3. So the second get the smaller element, which is 3, and the max get the biggest number, which is 8. So that we record the biggest index, which is 1, and we keep move on. Now we can see the third element, which is not bigger than the 8, the biggest. So we skip, but the 4 is bigger than the second variable. So the second variable need to assign is assigned number. So the second variable is become 4 now, and we can move on. The fourth element, it is not bigger than the 8, the biggest. It is also not bigger than the second. So we skip, and this is our for loop iterate, and we can say the max variable is 8. It is greater than and equal to the second one. So in this situation, we can just return it is the index, the biggest number index. It is the second one. So we return index. It is 1. So let's start turn this algorithm in Python. First, we remember to initialize all of the variables to -1. The max is -1 because we will meet 0, and the index is also -1 because for some case the 0 index maybe don't exist, right? The second is also -1. It's maybe the second maximum didn't exist. So we finished initialization, and we set a for loop to iterate the element by for loop for I in range. The range length, the boundary is the length of the lambs, and if lambs at I is bigger than the max, that means the lambs at I is the biggest. So we get the second. So the second get the smallest. The smallest down is a max, and max now become assigned by the nums at I. So this is the biggest this time. So, and we recorded the index. We record the nums at I because it now currently is the biggest number, and we can finish this iteration. And else if we if the nums attack is not bigger than max, but it is bigger than the nums attack is bigger than the second, then the second will record the nums at I, right? And we're done. We know the second, we know the maximum, and we can check the second condition. If the second is times 2 is smaller or equal to max, then we just return the index, because the index is the biggest one, right? So else, that means the edge case, if it didn't exist, we just return the -1, and we can define function dominate index is a self and nums. So before do that, we can check it. The integer and return integer. Yeah, we can the indentation class solution and print solution.dominate. Yeah, it works. It is a 1. It is work. And another way to achieve this is use the enumerator. It's a Python's built-in function. So let's try it. First, we consider the edge case. If it is an empty list, then length is 0. We just return -1. And this is the edge case. So let's initialize the highest. It starts from -1. The second is -1, and the highest the index is also start from 0. So we can make a try to print the list of the enumerator and the length. It will print out every element and the index in the enumerator. So this is how it works. We can use a for loop for they have a 2 variable n and n in enumerator length. If n is bigger than the highest, if it is bigger than the highest, then the second get the highest, because it is less than the n, and the highest get the n, and the index is get the I from it every iterate, and we can print them out. Print all of them. We can print the second, and the highest, and the index. It will be like this. So it only iterate 2 times, because it only works in the first 2 elements, and we need to check another situation. Is use else if n bigger than the second, but less than the highest. So this time the second get the large number n, and we can print them out. Also print them out to check it. Yeah, so only the 4 meet the situation. Less than the highest and bigger than the second. So he get the second spot, and we can. So we finished the first iterate, and we need to check the condition. If the highest is less than the second times multiplied by 2, and then this time we just return this time the index is -1. So otherwise we just return. Otherwise we just return the index. Yeah, it is wrong. It has worked. So this is how the enumerator works.